Hello, and thank you for your business. Why not stop by our refreshment stand? We have all kinds of special treats, but don't take my word for it. Take it away, fellas.
Come on, take a stroll to the snack bar, bring a happy time. Come on, take a stroll to the snack bar, have a good time. Popcorn for all, hell's on its way. Come on, take a stroll to the snack bar, have a good time.
2 minutes till showtime. There's still plenty of time to visit the refreshment stand. 2 minutes till showtime. There's still plenty of time.
Come on down to the snack bar, let your eyes out, let your eyes out. Have a good time to the snack bar. Come on, take a stroll to the snack bar, have a happy time. Come on, take a stroll to the snack bar, have a good time. Hell's on its way. Come on, take a stroll to the snack bar, have a good time.
And welcome to Dark Mode Cinema Academy. DMCA, a return that at least one person was very excited about, even if they're currently here on this episode and have been on many before. You may notice we have a couple of fresh faces with us today. Up there in the upper left, we have Shy the Trash Panda. Hi, Shy.
Hi, John.
And Chainsaw Chick, also known as Alexa. Some of you might be familiar with from Discord. Hi, Alexa.
Hi.
She promised to read me a story later.
Oh.
I
I'm
did.
so excited to be on here with her.
And the return of one of our originals, good old Twisted Fresco.
Just a little bit.
Which I will say, without Fresco's passion, I'm not even sure this episode would have happened. So, many thanks
Hell yeah,
over to Fresco for lighting that fire under my ass.
I've only been bugging for a return to DMCA 4 months now.
All right. So today we're doing a bit of a double feature for Halloween since we didn't do more episodes in October. And well, horror movies are kind of our favorite. It's been kind of our jam here. We've drugged them into November before. We've drugged them into December before. So we need to make sure to hit a couple of Halloween treats today.
Right.
So one of the first one that we have is Halloween Tree, a childhood classic. If there's anything, Fresco, I know this one's near and dear to you. If there's anything that you'd like to say about this before I play everyone the trailer.
Can I say what I'm going to say after the trailer?
If you want.
I'll do it that way.
Okay. Well, then I will pretend to continue talking for a second while I get everything configured where Fresco would have been filling in some gap. And then
You couldn't tell me that's what you were using this for. All right, so... Oh, never mind that.
Halloween Tree, what Ray Bradbury calls one of the finest productions of my works I have ever seen. This full-length feature is now available for the new low price of just $14.98 or less.
Haha, very funny.
Really?
only $14.98.
Right, that's a
Follow the
steal.
adventures of 5 ordinary kids on an extraordinary Halloween night they'll never forget as they travel through space, across time, and around the world to unravel the history and mystery of Halloween.
Anything's possible on Halloween.
Parents' Choice, Emmy, and Film Advisory Board Award winner. As an extra treat, it comes with a special bonus cartoon. Plus, while supplies last, you can get this free book with your purchase.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, like Jugs was saying, this one's near and dear to my heart. Since this movie came out, I have watched this religiously every year since I was a kid. Even when I went through some bad times in the past, I always found a way to get a hold of a copy of this movie and watch it, no matter where I was. If I was staying on the streets, if I was living in a hotel, whatever the case may be, wherever the fuck I was, I watched this every year at least 2 days before Halloween, at least. And it is a wholesome movie. And it really, it's got the main man you need for something like this. You know, Leonard fucking Nimoy's in there.
Hell yeah. I mean, it was written by Ray Bradbury, and as he even said in that little trailer there, it's the most faithful adaptation of any of his works that he's seen. He even went so far as to be the narrator in the movie itself, which I thought was a great touch to actually have him included in the production of it. Now, there's plenty of things that happen in the movie. I know it's kind of short, but again, being a childhood classic, there's so many just little memorable parts that go on. It really kicks off with the introduction of 4 little kids. We got Jenny, who's dressed up like a witch. We got Wally dressed up like a monster. Ralph rocking out as a mummy. And, what was it? Tom Skelton. Not actually skeleton, but just skeleton.
Yep.
Dress up as a skeleton.
Hell yeah. And what I find the absolute dopest out of everything for this movie is, if you think back logistically through how they go through the film, it literally starts, at least from what I understand, the earliest inception of when records could be found for people doing things for Halloween, and then moving through time, coming towards present day. And that whole aspect is always neat to me.
So while I'm sure there's additional scenes to touch on, at first I'm just interested in everyone's favorite. I guess we'll just kind of go around the clock. So Shy, what was your favorite scene in the movie? If there was one part that you're like, hey, watch this clip, it might get someone engaged, it might have someone want to watch the whole thing. What'd you enjoy?
Say I enjoy when they were trying to open the sarcophagus. I found that like a nice touch of history, because there's a few like mummy movies out, but when everyone thinks of horror, it typically sticks with the classic like serial killer, Jason, Michael Myers kind of thing. So it's a nice like a nice take on something that really interests like kids into the history, that how people used to bury others specifically to different like backgrounds of religion. So I really enjoyed that. Like I thought that was a nice touch.
Hell yeah. Alexa?
For me, it was actually them all meeting up. So, like, the combination of them getting together and then going to get Pip, it just reminded me a lot of how it was for me when I was a kid, going trick-or-treating with my friends and making sure that we'd told our parents where we were going, and we'd made a plan of where we were going to be and what have you, and we're carrying pillowcases.
So mine's a little bit odd. Requires just a minor bit of backstory. So my mom was Wiccan, and I thought their representation of witches was the best in any like major motion picture, any video, anything ever. The fact that they just straight out laid it out as, oh, well, no, witches weren't flying around on brooms, and the whole movie kind of rides that aspect of, here's the legend, and sure, the kids will ride around on broom, but also here's kind of the truth of it. Here's the realistic part to kind of teach at the same time. And so when they just go, no, witches were really just people who understood things a little bit better, were able to research a little bit deeper, were able to figure things out. And then there were folks who it seemed like magic because it was beyond their understanding and their explanation. That's all that was happening. They were just smart people, and they were attacked for it.
Intelligence is a scary thing to those with closed mind.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, if we're going to go with favorite scenes overall, I would have to say mine is actually the introduction of Mr. Carapace Clavicle Mound Shroud. Just the idea that you get this strange man who's yelling at these kids, crazy old man, get off my property, you kids. But it turns out to be much deeper than that, because he has an odd, peculiar tree growing in his yard. And it's got all the pumpkins in it, and they come to find out that they're pumpkin fire souls and everything. And then, you put two and two together, and you find out that it's basically just a rendition of Death, and Death becoming a businessman. That was neat to me, even as a child.
And I think that kind of carries into one of the overarching things on the movie that kind of caught my attention. I still can't tell you definitively if Unshroud was meant to be a bad guy. Because sure, they play him off as kind of the villain or the antagonist, but at the same time, it's like, no, that's fine. You can still save your friend. I will still bring you along. I'm trying to educate you and give you the story and give you the history and build everything up for you. It almost seemed, at least to me, more that being Death, he was just inevitable. He is something that would happen, not necessarily to be afraid of.
See, that was the other thing that got me, the fact that you can't really tell if he's a good guy or if he's a bad guy, but there's this sense of foreboding and what have you. It's really well done.
To me, it almost makes me think like he doesn't want to be the bad guy, but he is going to be the bad guy inevitably.
Wait, wasn't he the chosen one? Instead of Harry Potter?
But he's there to help them get their friend back, but at the same time, he needs an exchange. So it's a realization Death's going to come either way. So how are we going to solve this so you have your friend back for a longer time? Kind of thing, which is nice. I enjoyed it, but it was harder to definitively tell if he was bad or good, but it also makes me think that he wasn't trying to be the bad guy at the same time.
Now the part that made me really question it and lean towards maybe the bad guy, even though they did play it off like you're not quite sure, is just his inability to enter Sanctuary. The fact that he's like, oh yeah, hey, it's a giant cathedral. That's nice. You kids go ahead. I can't go in there.
Yeah.
But I think that's more or less that. See, that's one of those things that's kind of underlined and hidden is spirits of any kind that are walking around. If it's hallowed ground, they're not supposed to be there. Like, period. That's a no-go. You can be in the ground, that's fine. but you don't go to a place of sanctuary because regardless of whether or not you're going there for good or evil, it's not your place to be there. And he's not. So I understand as a child movie or a kid's movie, like this is supposed to give you the feeling like he is the bad man, but he's just trying to keep to his schedule. For every minute he wastes trying to get a hold of this kid whose time it is to go, that's somebody else that is getting longer time that shouldn't be around. You know? So that's why
Kind
he's
of
so
depicted as like the Grim Reaper, basically.
he is the angel of death for all intents and purposes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Oh, and still at the beginning, the scene with all of the posters, where all of the
man,
posters and everything start roaring and coming to life and moving and whipping around. And yes,
Amazing.
sure, this is a
Amazing.
children's movie.
It's
But-
amazing.
But just thinking about being in that situation, that scenario, seeing that happen would be so fucking intense.
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't have pooped him. I'm just saying that was fucking amazing.
I like how that could also be used as a metaphor with the whole you can't enter the sanctuary because of the fact that humans, as flawed as they are, we deny our fate that we are going to die. And by not allowing them in, we're not allowing it into our subconscious, so therefore it can't happen.
As
No.
a person that can't handle death themselves, like just the thought of people in my life passing away will make me cry. This movie is kind of a coming to of like the kids know that at some point they're going to die, so they're willing to give up their time for their friend. So it's a selflessness that helps kids kind of come to terms of, eventually others will pass away, and that it's going to be okay. It's a nice heartfelt feeling. But for me, being a sensitive little bitch I am, it was kind of like, I don't want people to think about their characters going to die eventually. Like, but that's what it is. It's life. So it's a nice like, hey kids, it's going to happen, but it's okay.
I love the
See-
simplicity of the setup with the appendicitis and the comment, people can die.
Yeah,
Like
any age. No
Well-
one realizes that till
So
it happens.
that was foreshadowing there. And then
Yeah.
if you want to go further into the foreshadowing, look back when they were all, gathering their costumes and throwing on their costumes and everything. When the boy was being wrapped up like a mummy, what does his dad tell him? I sure hope nobody needs these tonight, because his dad's the town doctor.
True.
More foreshadowing. They show up at Pip's house, and what's happening? He's being carried away in the ambulance. Beautiful subtlety. I love it. I fucking love it.
And again, I know I keep going back to but it's still a children's movie. For a children's movie, my heart still dropped at the beginning, the second that you see Pip running through the woods, and you notice that Pip is transparent, and you already know what the hell happened, and you're just like, no, their best friend, really? Like, that's how we're gonna kick this shit off? Like, I thought Up was the one who came in and was like, oh, let's destroy people in the beginning of a movie, in a kid's movie. No, they were already rocking that in the Halloween tree.
I have to say Up probably destroyed me a lot harder than this did, because there is still a connection to the character that is passing away, and he comes back. Whereas Up, she's gone. She's not coming back, and he's a sad man.
Now, at the same time, though, at least on Up, that was more of a, hey, they almost had as much build-up in Up, leading up to that, as the entire length of this movie. Like, this was a short movie, so the story they were able to tell in that time.
It's amazing. Like, that shows craftsmanship at its finest and dedication to work. Whereas everything has to be drawn out now just to get the entire point across.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's what I was saying about its simplicity of the people die from appendicitis. It wasn't, we've got to make a big rigmarole out of this. It was just, there you go, that's the fact. And like Jug said, as soon as I saw Pip running, I was like, oh no, no.
So, were there any parts of the movie that you disagreed with? That you're like, no, this is horrible. This takes me out of it.
I wouldn't say that I disagreed with, but it did make me uncomfortable. When the water is dripping from Pip's mouth, and that is the only way that he can be heard speaking.
Oh.
That was like, I thought I was gonna cry.
Now, I very much appreciate, though, that that's still, like, true to form, true to legend, and just the idea that, oh yeah, the only way that you can hear a gargoyle. So sure, all those monsters flew in, and that part was their taking it over the top, like I described before, where it's like, oh, here's the exaggerated, but then here's the actual lore and actual understanding. It's like, oh, okay. The only part that I might disagree with, or I'm just uncertain about, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. Explain this to me. Is it only, like, people who are dying on Halloween that get a pumpkin? Like, does everyone get a pumpkin? Is that a holiday exclusive?
Right? There were no other pumpkins in this movie except for what was on that tree and in that boy's hands. That's it. Not a single pumpkin.
But, like, if you die on Christmas, do you get a pumpkin still? Like,
oh, that's a valid question too. Maybe it turns into a tree.
I was thinking that maybe like the representation is like everyone can have a pumpkin. Like pumpkins can be for just about anyone, but these specific ones that are in the tree are just the representation of the life. It takes me back to the movie Book of Life, where the candle maker is in a room full of candles, and when one goes out, that's the end of the life. So that kind of made me think of that.
So Pip went to England where there was a bunch of cows. Okay, go. If you got something.
I was gonna say I had something, yeah. So there was the one overall part I didn't like or necessarily like it was fine for what it was, but so I disagreed with the fact that they gave Moundshroud his own pumpkin. Like I disagreed with that because the entire film we're led to believe, or they portray him, or he is the spirit of death incarnate. So he should not have to worry about the flame on his pumpkin going out, unless you want to delve a little deeper into that and go, well, while he's needed, the pumpkin's lit. When he's no longer needed, the fire goes out. And then he'll come again when the flame sparks back up. But other than that, I don't see why you needed to give him a pumpkin. Like, he shouldn't have to worry or show representation for his soul.
So that goes back to my concern of the, do you get a pumpkin whenever? Because he was very pressed on, it needs to be before the sun comes up, before it's the next day after Halloween. It was like, okay, like, is he strictly death, or is he just Halloween death dude?
I was kind of thinking it's another representation of, like, anybody can die, even spirits after a point. That also brings me back to kind of the Mexican folklore of, like, once you're forgotten, you're gone forever.
Saint Coco.
Yeah, exactly.
This ain't Coco now. But no, I understand what you're saying.
So Pip was kind of leading the way, dragging them to all the various locations. Ran off to, like, England first and Stonehenge when there was, like, some cows in the background. Went to Mexico where even the candy's spicy there, and was running the whole time. Was Pip just trying to create, like, the first pumpkin spice latte?
Oh, that's a good question. We may have a new meta for the movie.
Alexa, you're on the same page as me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wanted to bring back about Dr. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. It's too long.
You mean, like, Clavicle?
Carapace, Clavicle, Moundshroud.
Him. Moundshroud. His head reminded me of a character from the Proud Family when they had their movie. They went to some kind of island that was evolved around the peanuts. I sent it to you, Jugs. It reminded me of a character, and I was like, I can't see it as a villain now.
Wait, revolved around the what?
What?
You said it revolved around the what?
It revolves around peanuts. Like, whatever vacation they wanted on revolved around peanuts.
Okay, that's not what I heard. Thank you for clarifying.
These nuts.
Revolved around the penis. I was like, what?
Got him. Anyway, sorry. We'll take that just to say what his head looks like and reminded me of. So when I watched this for the first time as a kid, it reminded me of Pumpkinhead. Has anybody else seen that horror movie?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. So his head very much reminded me of Pumpkinhead. That's when I was like, okay, he's death. Like, he has to be death.
Well, but then you said that you had like a beef with him having a pumpkin too? Because, I mean, already, if his head was shaped like a warped gourd, then that just kind of makes sense.
Never mind. I'm done with you.
Rage quit.
Rage quit. That's it. This show can go back on the show for another. This show can go back on the show for another 8 months.
Oh my god.
Fuck this shit.
Fuck it, it's over. No, it's a good movie. I think that's something I would enjoy for Harley to become accustomed to watching during Halloween season. It's not like horrifying, but it's also got a little bit of history in it. As a mom, I appreciate it. God, is that my life? Am I just a mom?
So, Shy, I really like what you just said in the sense of, like, I have my nieces and nephews, and one of them is particularly interested in history. I love her for that. She loves, like, the horrible histories and things like that. She's very, very intelligent child, and I think that she would love to watch that with me. And I very rarely get to do things with her just on her own without her two younger siblings, but thankfully I can just say, they're a bit too young. They might find it a bit scary.
Yeah, you don't ever worry. Like, is that such a mom thing to say that I would just watch it? No, because you know what? I've been watching this forever. As I said at the beginning of this, I've watched this movie forever. I understand all of the history about it and everything, and it's helped me when my daughter was younger, when she needed some help back in her grades, like her early grade school days. She would ask about different things from Halloween. From different locations or different customs for Halloween. I literally sat her down and watched that movie with her for the first time because she started asking questions. And she finally could cognizantly remember everything. And that's when she used it for school. And of course she got, the gold star or whatever the hell it was they gave her. But it's as parents, it's what we do. We pass on these moments. And this is such a good movie for that. Because it's wholesome, it's a little spooky for kids, so they get the kind of little bit of scare to it, but it's educational and it's fun. And all around, it's a good family movie.
I really enjoyed the educational kind of historical stuff. I thought that was probably the coolest thing. It gives a breakdown, so you're not just like, oh, as an adult and I get to travel, I can figure out things myself. You can learn it early and then be prepared as you go on in life and be like, I know these facts. It's something good I really enjoyed, and I feel like possibly my son will enjoy.
And it's kind of like a great stepping stone. I know I've said this to pretty much everyone in the call in my mind, this is very much like the spiritual precursor to one of my favorites, Trick or Treat. Hell, it's the background behind me. Where it does the anthology style, it touches on the different kind of creatures, but at the same time, even in that movie, it's no one dies who doesn't deserve it. It's still very collaborative, it's uplifting for being something that has like the monsters, the creatures, the darkness. It's really still just kind of a positive overall message. And they hit at the end of the movie the part that I'm a sap for and will make me all soggy cheeked and anything else of once you get the group collaboration, everyone working together and going, hey, no, me too, and my sword.
Yes.
No, Spider-Man's just a kid.
That's a big decision to make at that age.
Now, how much time did they give up though? Because I don't think that it was a fair
year.
trade.
2 years. It was 2 years. 2 years from the end of their lives.
Now,
Each one.
2 years really isn't that much. Does that mean that, you know, Homeboy only gets like 8 more years and then he's gonna kick it? Like, or is he
think
granted
it
a
was
full
like
life
an
now?
I think it was an equal exchange of, you know, the 8 years for their friend's entire soul back. I
I
mean,
agree.
that's a lot of people within 2 years to receive, if that's I'm thinking correct, or at least early two
You are
years
thinking
from the end of their life.
that's how it was. That's how it was explained. So you are thinking correctly. So basically, you give him back his full life for whatever random time it is now that he is going to die. Instead of dying to appendicitis, now he's going to die to something else at whatever other time.
Yeah.
That's fine. But now, instead of just having the one at this time right now, he can go and later on down the line, he gets 4 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Wait, ain't that gonna be some shit in like 2 weeks when Pip gets hit by a bus?
That's
I was gonna
Jokes.
say,
Why you always gotta do that, man?
I mean, I was going to say something like,
I mean,
now,
it's a legit thought, though. I mean, accidents do happen, and granted, it's kind of fucked to think about it, but it's something that's a possibility. Like, if they're kids, they're out playing, they play in the street, you know, people are assholes.
If we're gonna go into a whole Final Destination spiel with this, like, I'm just not prepared.
okay, I wasn't going to go the Final Destination route. I was going to go a slightly different route, though. What happens in 5 years when Pip has decided, you know what, these guys are dorks, I'm out of here, and he goes and hangs out with a whole new group of friends? These kids just gave up 2 years of their life, each one of them, just for him to live. And now he said, fuck y'all, I'm out? What's going to happen then?
Like if the kids get spiteful, can they just next Halloween find Montreal be like, no, it's cool. We want it back. Like,
I'm just saying, like, so accidents happening to kids have always been a thing, yes. As far as in the 90s, though, because that's when this film took place and when it was made and everything, or actually, I think the film in film was a lot earlier than the 90s. But either way, they weren't getting hit by buses. They weren't getting hit by cars. It was a much safer time to let your kid go out and play in the yard and do all those things. It is more likely around that time that they would no longer be friends than it would be for Pip to have an early death at another time. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to continue this argument of the safety of children back then, but I do not feel like fighting. I will respect your opinion on that, so that we can continue on. It's a good movie. I like it.
I
It's cute.
just wanted to say as well that I'm up for anything that's death positive. You know, I'm like kind of a bit weird about that kind of stuff, and anything that makes kids more educated about things and the possibility that one of their friends could die. You know, somebody that they know, one of their parents even, you know, and it's absolutely terrifying.
But it makes them more comfortable in the end. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what you like.
I do. I like the fact that it doesn't pull any punches. It is what it is. I like it.
Yeah.
now they did pull off the little bit of bargain at the end, but I can say personally while watching it, but before they did the bargain, just the time chasing after Pip and everything like that, at least made me more comfortable with the idea of, you know, maybe they won't get Pip back, but at least they were able to have one last run with him.
That
Right.
was a nice one, yeah.
Yeah.
So sure, it was awesome that we did actually get Pip. Hey, Pip returned. But...
Pip, hooray!
Oh, and then the kind of Wizard of Oz kind of nod at the end, where it's just like, oh, thank you guys. Like, for what? We didn't do anything. What are you talking about? It's like, okay, well, I mean, I did have a dream, and I recall you guys being there. And... So I thought that one was quite excellent. Any other thoughts on this movie before we get into the part 2 of today's double feature?
No, just
I-
agree with you about the whole ethereal aspects and the whole, near-death experience and being able to hang out with your pals one last time while you're in the process of leaving this earth. It's kind of amazing.
It's a sweet gesture.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence about that, but I had a bad experience with mine. So it's nice for the kids to kind of see that, not every dire situation has to be so sad, you know?
Definitely.
Any final thoughts from you?
I just think it was dope. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. I just think it was a dope movie.
I thought it was the fucking tits, man.
It was the tits. All right.
Now I guess
I hate that.
last little bit. If I remember correctly, this may have been the first time viewing for two of you, right?
Yeah, me for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know me and Fresco, we've talked about this movie before. We've brought it up before. It's gone way back. Do you think if you would have viewed this as a child, back in childhood, that it would have been as good as you think it was when you saw it today? Or even maybe better?
I mean, dang, I probably would have had, if I'd have known about it, I'd have had my own sugar skull made by now, I want my name on that shit. I want, I thought that was so dope. I love everything about it, and I genuinely wish that I had seen it as a child. But it's definitely nice to revisit my childhood.
I would have probably very much benefited from watching it. I grew up kind of shrouded from the horror aspect and death. So it would have made a lot of stuff I went through when I was a little younger that I do remember a lot easier on me. It's comforting. I would definitely would have watched it then and would have still been very entertained now by it. It's a good movie. I like it.
I can agree with Shy on that one. Maybe if I had seen something like this a little earlier, then I wouldn't have had the My Girl incident,
Well, now it's giving you the opportunity to make sure that future generations see it. So if you get a chance, point a kid towards this movie. Make sure the next line of folks get to grow up with it.
I will definitely make sure that at least one of my nieces watches this with me.
Perfect.
Hell yeah. Hell
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, now for the trailer for the second movie, Waxwork. It's definitely an old school horror movie. Some familiar faces though.
It's 11:45. Let's go.
Imagine, if you will, an exhibit in fear.
It looks a little spooky, boys. You think we should do this?
A place that appeals to your deepest and darkest fantasies.
Ooh, scary.
Your fascination with ghosts, monsters, and the many unearthly elements of the supernatural. Look,
This is killer.
enjoy,
Wow, the glasses from Nutty Zombies from Hell.
lose yourself in it.
Would you like a closer look?
Oh no, not Nutty Zombies from Hell.
Don't step over the rope.
Oh, those killer special effects too.
You were too tired to join us. All right, I'm hypnotized.
Hey, not so fast.
Relax. Put on a cup of coffee. We'll talk about it.
John Rhys Davies.
I want out of here,
Oh.
Sarah. I'm serious.
Getting scared?
Do I get a pretty woman in my illusion? No. No, I get a dork.
It isn't real.
Bravo! What the hell did you kill him for? He'd have been perfect.
Live, my children. Live.
Hit me!
Strong Pictures welcomes you into a new dimension in terror. Waxwork.
There you go. Waxwork. Now, I will say, if you're the type that are able to watch that trailer and not immediately want to just kind of see that movie, regardless of how cheesy it may be, then we're on different planets. If you have no interest there. Oh. So, just like with anything else, there's a lot. This is very much anthology. There's individual little stories being told. It's kind of my personal preference. I enjoy when you get more than just that one story. Now, I admit this movie might not be for everyone. So I'm sure there might be some parts that folks are like, oh no, I couldn't take it. I didn't understand it. This was so dumb. This was horrible for certain scenes. But before those scenes, I'm curious on the positive stuff. So, just like last time, let's go ahead, start up there with the top left. Shy, was there any part of this movie that you actually enjoyed? I already see the head shaking.
It's not that I was scared or anything. This movie is it's just enlarged my face. It's not that I was scared of the movie. The movie wasn't scary at all. I mean, the little stories is great. It's a fun way of, throwing in a bunch of lore into one movie. I like the way it was presented as museum what do you call it, as
Is it waxwork?
individual scenes, whatever, how you want to pronounce exhibits, that's the word, individual exhibits, and it kind of opened up an entire storyline for you.
That's
But
the only nice thing you can say. I saw that. That's
yeah, because I don't want to get to the negative stuff yet. I was gonna kind of wait till we got
fair
past the
enough.
niceties.
Oh
right.
boy.
So, I guess before we get on to some of the negative stuff, Alexa, did you have?
Yeah, I did. I think that David Warner, anything with David Warner in it is awesome. I really like him as an actor. I think he's great. He definitely has that ability to be creepy, and yet he's got a very clear diction. He's got a very a specific tone of voice that can be really comforting and really unnerving, depending on what he's trying to do. So I like the fact that he's actually like a villain, because when he's talking to the two girls, when he sees them outside, you don't really see that. You see him as quite a kooky, weird kind of guy. But as soon as you find out about the sinister turn and things like that, you're like, oh wow. And then his behavior starts to make more sense.
So I'd say for me, the part that was really the most enjoyable, they really fully elaborate with each of those. Every time that someone gets tossed in, it's not, oh yeah, you get tossed in, you get smashed. Just the end, done. It was more of a, oh no, you're at the cabin. You get to decide what's going to happen. You're choosing how this is going to play out. And God, that guy was dumb. For just being like, oh, I get told to go the fuck away 20 times. Let me go get some wood. I'll be back, homie. But still, effects team aside, like the werewolf scene was done beautifully. And again, Davy's in there. Professor Arturo, for those who enjoy sliders, or Gimli for the Lord of the Rings fans out there, or for Gimli himself. I see him popping up in chat a couple of times. There's Carnage. Perfect. But yeah, I really just enjoy that they elaborate. They go into depth and kind of have to explore each of the situations. How about you, Fresky?
All right. So, I'm not going to piggyback off of what you said, although what you said was very true for me. Um, Honestly, my two favorite parts of the entire movie, because I got two, the opening sequence and the credit sequence. And the reason is because of the music that was handpicked for both spots. Fucking, I pissed myself laughing, dude. Uh, so I question if this was not meant to also be somewhat of a comedy. Is this listed as just a horror movie, or is this listed as a horror comedy?
I believe originally it was just a horror movie.
Okay.
Though I will say they made a sequel and they kind of leaned more heavily into what the original became.
Okay, because the opening sequence, also you have to bear with me too, because with the lighting in this and being from the 80s, it's not very easy for me to see all the details of it. But I listened a lot more than I could see, and just hearing what was going on, hearing the upbeat music and then hearing a fight breaking out, and it's just like, my God, these people are beating the hell out of each other and killing something. And it's just da 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 da, and I'm like, all right, fine.
100%. I thought I accidentally had another tab open when I was watching the movie. I was like, oh shit, I need to go mute that. This is.
And then the end sequence, they discuss, like, clearly, they set it up for a sequel and all like that, and then it's just like, my boyfriend's back, and I'm like, really? Of all the songs you're gonna pick My Boyfriend's Back at the end?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was awesome to me, because I'm into that kind of stupid shit. Like, just to have inappropriately matched songs with clearly important events that are going on, absolutely wonderful to me. And again, piggybacking off of your idea, all that was going on, that was fantastic. The main actor that owns the waxworks, fantastic. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now with that.
Awesome. And I will say, not just him, but also a familiar face in there, Zach Galligan, Mark, the protagonist that we're following along. Folks would be familiar with from his work in Gremlins. It's kind of interesting because he did Gremlins, 4 years later did this, and then did Gremlins 2. So this was kind of in the middle of those two movies.
My man got work, though. He got work.
Oh, and then also came back for Waxwork 2. So as long as they were giving him a paycheck, I think he showed up. So.
Right. My man had a job.
For real, homie just wants that bread.
All right. Well, fine. I can already see Shy getting antsy, all the rage and angst to get this movie being built up. Before even talking about anything else, we'll just go straight into the hate machine that is Shy the Trash Panda.
Let's go, Shy. Let's go.
Am I that angry? Am I really just that hateful? The scene I think that bothered me the absolute most out of the entire movie was, I can't remember her name. She's with Fabio, the vampire, and she makes it down into the room where...
Don't say the leg. I love the leg.
There's a fucking rat eating his leg, and he's just laying there, and then he falls on the fucking leg. You would scream. You would be in blood-curdling scream. There'd be more blood everywhere, but no, it's so fucking clean. And there's a rat, like, it's chewing on you. I'd be screaming my fucking head off. No, she walks into a quiet room, goes down this pristine white staircase in a full-ass wedding gown. What?
Well, I mean, it doesn't stay clean, especially after she uses one blunt
I'm
steak
not done yet.
to
And
steak
it comes to the point of they're chasing each other around the fucking table, and he leans over to grab her. She had the audacity. She could just ran up the fucking stairs are right there and got the fuck out of there. But no, she decided to stay and hang out and watch him lay on the other guy.
Breathe. Remember your blood pressure, boo-boo.
I'm just saying.
Well, we all know how effective it was once she ran out of there, so I'm not thinking running out of there earlier would have really done much, right? But I did see Fresco actually shoot up a hand. You got an interjection. You got something.
I did have it interjected. So he did scream "ow" when the rat bit him and asked her to remove it. And he is tied down on a bed in a castle filled with vampires. Right, he was screaming, no! He was screaming, what you mean?
Rat off me. Get the
And
rat
as far
off
as there
me.
not being enough blood, they're vampires. What you think they're gonna do? Just let blood spill all over the floor and waste it?
But did you see
No.
how red the wound was? Really?
Okay.
Come on, there
Okay.
would have been more blood around that. And how is he still alive if he's supposed to be drained of blood? Like, that makes no sense to me.
Your whimsy's broken, bro.
I swear to fucking God, Fresco, I reached through this computer. Don't.
Let's
Let's go, homie! I'm just saying, like, to me, that part made, like, the worst amount of sense. And then she comes out covered in blood because she stabs the vampire, but it's like, that's a lot of blood that was thrown on her. Granted, it's an arterial damage, but still, come on.
So first there's not enough blood for you. Now there's too much blood for you.
There's a difference. It's two separate people. There is two different people. When the guy's strapped down to the table, there should have been more blood. When she stabbed the vampire, it was not enough proximity for her to be covered in so much fucking blood.
Well, I don't know, because when they were serving dinner, they had the sauce. So that could explain where a lot of that blood went.
She was clean when she went down the stairs. She was wearing pristine white. It was not damaged. It was not stained. It only got stained after she stabbed the vampire. But then she got drenched in blood, which made no sense. Like, it's not like every other vampire came in and then just, like, on her.
Maybe they had a Tide stick. Damn.
I mean, part of the mythos for vampirism is them being engorged with fresh blood makes them more susceptible to lose lots more blood when they are, in fact, attacked and punctured in a way that would kill them, much like she did. We are talking about her attacking the one in the basement, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So then, yeah, technically speaking, that holds up to the mythos.
But was the blood and meat that he ate and drank really that fresh and enough for him to profusely squirt blood everywhere?
Maybe he may have had a midnight snack.
He could have had another snack, you know what I mean?
So,
and we don't know exactly what that sauce was. They could have had a bunch of that sauce in the back. My man dug the sauce.
all right. So excessive bleeding aside, Alexa, was there any part of the movie that you just couldn't stand, that was like, no, that this is wrong? What's going on here?
It wasn't that it was wrong. I was just like, oh, fuck, this is stupid. And that was the werewolf, funnily enough.
Oh.
So, I thought it was absolutely ridiculously stupid. The only thing that it made me think was it kind of reminded me of The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. You know?
Oh, Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah. So,
I love
like,
that.
any kind of horror aspect was removed right away, you know? And I understand that, you know, they had limited stuff to work with, you know, it's the 80s and what have you, but wow. You want to talk about a disturbing werewolf scene, you go with Professor Lupin's change in Harry Potter, in my opinion. That was
You're right.
terrifying to me as a child. Absolutely terrifying. Still is if I watch it closely enough.
So, the part that kind of killed me is they had collected all of these mementos that were associated with the most evil people in history. They had Jack the Ripper, you know, they had the Phantom of the Opera, you know, stuff that was real and realistic. And then they had pod people, because we've apparently had a large pod people problem at some point. Like, even the Mummy made more sense than, like, oh yeah, here's the alien pod people and just a zombie, and they definitely started looping in shit that was like, okay, I don't think you actually collected a memento from this particular situation. I feel like you're having a little bit of creative liberties here. You're kind of going above and beyond. That's the only part that was like, maybe not. Is the one and only Fresky.
I'm back again. Hi. So, all the fucking college kids, I hated every single one of them. Fuck them all. They all deserve what they got. Fuck them all. You know, the doofus that died to the werewolf, the fucking bitch that got bled to death by the vampires, just fucking anybody that went in there, just to hell with them all, dude. They were all so dumb. And even though my dude was the man in the Gremlins, and I understand that it was his character and that was what he was supposed to do. So I'm talking about that character, not the actor. Fuck that guy, because that guy was a piece of shit too. Fuck the whole grouping, man. They all suck. They all deserve what they got. They all needed to die.
Now I'll say, sure, he was definitely a piece of shit at the beginning. I fully agree that when we first get introduced, they definitely even build him up. It's like, oh no, just doubly fuck this dude. It's cool. I don't mind. Whoever dies, dies. I'm in for it. Let's see what happens. He does slightly like start redeeming himself and being a decent person as it goes on, though.
Act.
Yeah, like during the Marquis de Sade, he was just very sweet to the girl. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was trying to bring her out. He wasn't trying to blame her for any of this. He knew that she was possessed. He knew that everything was taking her over, and he was just trying to get her free. It wasn't about gaining anything. It was about just getting her back. Quite liked that, actually, because he did start out as an asshole. I'll give you that.
See, I loved just Michu, the little dude. The little dude was rocking out. I love the part when he asked them if they want drinks. They all say no. And then the obscenely large butler comes out with drinks, and he's just pissed. He's like, no, you're supposed to wait till I ring the bell. Get the hell back out of here. I didn't call you out yet.
When I think about it, I think he was probably one of my favorite characters, is the little butler. Like, it was funny. Like, it's something you don't expect when you think of a butler. You think of someone tall and as well as dignified as the shorter butler was, but you just don't imagine somebody of that stature being able to become a butler.
Oh,
So it was kind of nice.
He rocked out with that full fucking Napoleon syndrome. The oh sure, I'm small, but here is everything by the rules, by the book. I am serious. Even the heel step to walk out of the room every single time.
Yep.
You know, like, the thing that gets me, though, is the fact that the scariest part about this movie could be the fact that somebody has achondrophobia. You know, that could have literally been the scariest part. Like, you know?
Now, overall, interesting concept for the movie. It was also kind of creepy, just the trying to take a sample of the face, and even though the person was entirely made out of wax, sure, they chipped the skin off, but then there was muscle underneath, but the muscle was also now made of wax and having the intricacies there. That was a little bit creepy and eerie and definitely fed into the horror vibes.
Yeah, I liked that it had almost become plasticinized. It was awesome. And the fact that he gave up trying to pick it up with his knife and just threw it in, just like, it just got me. I thought that was quite amusing.
So I gotta ask you, because it certainly reminded me of this. Did anybody else get Cabin in the Woods vibes from this movie?
Yes. You chose your fate.
I mean,
I have not seen that, so I'm not aware of.
But we done reviewed that movie.
It's out there. Look it up.
I definitely got that impression that you felt that way about it when you were talking about how they deserved it. You know, like how they willingly went into whichever reality they went into, and they just fucking deserved it.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing overall. Of the two movies, I prefer this one over Cabin in the Woods. And that's not a popular opinion.
Now, I agree with that, even though I do enjoy both of the movies. I think this one may have been a first-time watch for everyone but me in here. Fresco, you said that you hadn't even seen it before, too, right?
I have never seen it before.
The big reason why I definitely drug this one out of the closet, one, to present this one and be like, hey, check this out. 100%, this felt to me as if you would have seen this movie, it 100% would have been on your radar. It wouldn't be something you're like, oh yeah, I forgot it. I saw that a while ago. You'd be like, oh no, that's a great movie. I'm adding that to my collection. I need to have this movie.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I was getting ready to watch it, as I always do, I was watching the trailer first, just to be like, all right, well, what exactly am I getting myself into? And when I watched the trailer, I was like, how the fuck did I never see this before? How the hell have I not seen this? And then I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, why isn't this in my collection?
So, I know that you had mentioned before the trailer, and I said there was a sequel. Have you ever seen the trailer to the sequel?
Negative.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and play that one real quick for everybody. As I said, personally, I think the sequel is better. They actually embraced what was going on. So it is cheesy as hell. I'll fully admit that, but that means they're aware of it and they lean into it this time.
What are we going to do, Mark?
We're just gonna pretend like nothing happened.
But what if one of those creatures got out?
How?
Sarah, I told you to go to bed.
Sarah! Let go!
And she blames us.
Does the burning down of the Wax Museum have any bearing on whether the accused killed her stepfather or not?
You two are here. Something has gone wrong.
If we don't find some evidence, you're gonna rot in jail, or they're gonna give you the electric chair.
You have inherited your grandfather's and my collection of strange artifacts. There may be something there that will help you in your quest.
Hey, look at this. It's a Cartagrian time door. How do you open this thing?
Bum, bum, bum.
Look! Come on!
Oh, and then they go straight through the looking glass.
We did it. Elizabeth, please. Go back to your chamber.
Don't be too long, my darling. What happened?
You believed in all of this. It possessed your mind. It's here. The book!
Oh, there you go.
Sarah, are you alright? I've been looking for you everywhere.
Have you got the book?
Just hopping from situation to situation.
Monster kind of ate it.
Oh.
Alien much?
Face it, Sarah. No one's gonna believe your stupid story about dead flesh walking.
Stop it!
Let her go! Has Scarabus also taken the one you love?
Scarabus.
We found her ladyship in the woods, sir. She was with that boy Philip again. One they called the Master is no mortal. He is the devil himself.
Oh my god, that dude's in it?
May God go with you.
I mean...
Well, take him to the dungeon.
Not only him, Bruce Campbell's also in this one.
Oh, sold.
What a mess you're in.
Sir Wilfred?
Of course it's me.
Do you mind telling me what's going on?
When you first used Solomon's locket, Sarah and you have actually stumbled into God's Nintendo game.
No.
Oh, yes. Me and the devil.
Jekyll and Hyde. Oh no, Godzilla.
Using their various time warriors as different characters, forever trying to
Godzilla.
delicate balance one way or another.
Some Jack the Ripper action.
Me to be a time warrior?
Yeah.
Maybe you're one already, Mark.
To the death.
Remember, it is one of the greatest privileges ever to be chosen as a time warrior.
You know, sometimes I think you actually enjoy all this hero stuff.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
As I said, in the sequel, they lean into it. So you're saying you're willing to watch that one?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So, anyone else who may have just caught that trailer, have any interest in it from there, don't worry. DMCA, Dark Mode Cinema Academy, will be returning next week in order to talk about Waxworks 2.
What's that you say? We coming back again?
Even B-Dubs is at least aware of this. B-dubs, I had to share this with everybody here. I was the only one who knew. Yeah, we're coming back. Do you know where? Do you know what channel? Does anyone have any guesses on which channel? I'll ask the two up top.
DMG TV.
DMG TV. Dark Mode Gaming TV. Right here. The same place you're watching now. We will return next week and potentially for more in the future as well. We'll see how it goes, but we're working on bringing it back. Now, after this, we're going to be handing things over to Taste Buds with Runa and Carnage going over a few things. And then is the Giant Haunt event, which should be amazing.
I'm so excited for that.
Super excited about this one.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I like paranormal stuff, so I feel like it's going to be great.
I think this is going to be awesome as well. I'm really excited about it.
I feel like with the way it's being so hyped up and all the work that's going into it, I'm ready to be blown away. Everyone in DMG has blown me away with their skills and talents. Blaze and his editing skills, along with Jugs, it's amazing. Like, I know I can't do something like that, so just every time it's just one right after another. It's a hit. Everything's just so good.
Well, Shy, Alexa, thank you for making your first time appearance on DMCA. Very much appreciated.
It was a pleasure.
Might drag you into a couple more, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get you on over to Taste Buds. It's been great, everyone. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy